Hello, hello, everyone. It's Renee McLaughlin, and today we are going to be talking about our Tootsies. It is foot fitness fun for today on Monday. So, why did I choose to do feet today? Well, it's so interesting how it all works, isn't it? I got a message from Tessa, who is one of our great T-Tap family, and she asked me about working the feet. And so I thought, great, we haven't talked about foot fitness in a while. And what was so interesting is between the time she did that, which was about middle of last week, and now I've had 4 other people ask me about working the feet. So I thought, okay, it must be in the air. We're all looking at working our little tootsies. So feet are they're the unsung heroes of our bodies, are they not? Like most of us never think about doing anything with our feet except maybe accessorizing with the perfect shoe for the outfit or when they hurt. But actually, they are so important. Did you guys realize there are 26 bones and 36 joints in our feet? And they're there for a reason because they are the ones that are that's the foundation to the whole body. That's how we get along. That's how we move. That's how we explore our whole environment. And the feet are designed to be really flexible, mobile, and strong because when we're not moving the feet, when we put them in shoes that put us in really awkward positions, whether we're squeezing our toes in, when we have those, remember, especially way back when we were out of our house to go to work and we had to wear like the skinny toes and we were whipping our toes together or coming up even with a kitten heel. I mean, even if you lift your heels, think about what all happens all the way up in your calves and in your legs. And hello, so Tessa's on, hey girl, and Jamie, nice to see you. So anyway, the feet are super, super important. It's really important to work our feet. And when our feet are sore or when they're not strong, what happens is a lot of the weight or the tension will show up in our ankles, right? Weak ankles doing this and that, which then will what? Go up to our knees, which what then turn out in our hips. So it works all the way up the body. So often when people say, I have bad knees, I know that maybe it's not necessarily the knee, but that's coming from other places. And one of those places, yes, is our feet. Now, I want you to also, before we actually start working the feet, because I want you to really get a sense of how much what we're going to do really makes a difference and how it makes you feel so good. So if you will, before you do this, I want you to just start to kind of walk around in your room or your space, wherever you are, and really put your focus down in your feet. Notice, without changing anything, how you typically walk. Now, so many of us walk, I'm going to call it flat-footed, right? So we basically walk like this. We just come down full foot. We come down full foot, right? We just kind of plop. Now, some of us, especially after a while, we don't, I'm going to trip here. We don't even do that, but we lift a hip. We either waddle side to side, right? Because the feet aren't flexible. They waddle side to side, or we'll just up and down like this, okay? Now, when you do that, let me ask you something. If you just do it, even if you don't normally, just so you feel the difference, okay? Flat foot, notice how you are not working your ankles, you are not working your calves, nor your hamstrings, and let's take it up to the glutes. No glute activation at all. We're like this. Which is, I'm sorry to say, it's how we get those flabby glutes, okay? And people say, oh, I'm really weak in my glutes. Why? Because we have tight calves. Why? Because we're not walking with our feet correctly. The ideal way is to really walk through your feet, where you come down and roll all the way through the feet. You want to feel the heels. You want to push off with the toes. But you know what? If you haven't been working your feet, they're probably tight, okay? They probably don't have flexibility. Very possibly the fascia is all bound up, so we do this. So I had mentioned also that when you work the feet, you can raise the metabolism. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, okay, well, now give me a reason to work the feet. That's one reason. Why? Because when you start to do this, you're going to pump the lymphatic system. You're going to pump the junk. You're going to be able to really work in the calves. work in the glutes, work all the way up the body, and touche, that's how you're going to start to raise metabolism. So yes, it actually does work with that too. Amazing, right? Now, the other thing that you're going to notice as we go to do this is just working the feet. You're going to feel it all the way up. Again, I'm going to say the back of the body as well. So before we get started, I want you to you can do a little bend in the knee. Just do a quick roll down, just to wherever it's comfortable for you, because I want you to put your brain to body, get a sense of where you're feeling in your hamstrings, okay? How far down can your torso get to your legs without any deep stretch? You're just seeing where you're at now, and then roll yourself back up. Now, I want you to start on the side that's a little tighter, okay? For me, it's my left, so I'm going to work the left. Now, Teresa had a fabulous DVD. I have it here in case you all want to see it, Finger and Foot Fitness. This was a 71-minute. It was from a retreat that she did. My gosh, it's so many years ago now. But that was where she really showed me, let me experience the benefits of working the feet. That is a fabulous DVD. It's still wonderful today. I'm not going to do a lot of what she did there. I'm going to update it a little bit because I find that we can do it a little bit quicker and get amazing results while using a ball. Now, I'm using a little therapeutic ball, but I'll tell you what, a tennis ball is perfect to use, okay? Don't use anything too harsh. You want something a little softer, okay? So here's what you're going to do. Also, you want to have something to hold on to, because when you start working the feet, you're going to need to have something for stability. We're not doing a balance challenge here, okay? So I'm going to begin by putting my heel down. I may need to lower. Let me do that. Let me move this up first. You don't need to see my little face, do you? You want to see my feet and what I'm doing. So I'm going to drop my camera here so you can really get a look at what we're doing. And by the way, let me make sure I get the camera to kind of clear up here. There we go. By the way, you can do it seated in a chair. Great to have. I like to have my ball right when I'm doing a Zoom, whatever, right? And I'm seated and I'm bored. I can just sit there and work my feet. So anyway, heel down, okay, on the ground. Let's begin by putting the ball right on the pads of your ball joint. So I'm just going to call that the pads. Start it there, heel down for balance, and just start to roll across the pads of your feet. You can pull the toes up. Now, we're going to do a lot of toe fitness in this too, because it's really important that you can lift your toes and bring them down and lift one at a time. Very much about what we call proprioception, experiencing our bodies on the inside where we are in space. So we're going to do those a few times. Maybe take it down a little lower there. And then make sure you have yourself a chair. Now we're going to go right to the instep, or the arch of the foot. Okay, now this is the place where you might want to scream. And you're just going to go right to the center first and just gently just put a little pressure down and then release. So come back off of it. So you're going to push down and gently release. Now, when I do this, I always visualize like right in here is like a sponge, okay? And so when I press down, it's like squeezing the junk out of the sponge. And then I come back out, and now I allow the oxygen and nutrients to get in there. So this right here, right at that arch, that is your plantar fascia. Okay, now you might want to go side to side on that. Do the same kind of thing. Maybe go on the inside, a little bit of compression and release, over to the outside. Now, we all know plantar fascia. We'll really know it when we get the fasciitis, which is an inflammation. Now, why do we get that? We get that because our actual muscles in the foot are weak, and we're not using them. So the fascia has to pick up the tension, the stress, because we're not actually working the muscles correctly. And then it tends to get bound up, and woo, that's painful. So by doing this work and working not just the fascia, but the muscles in the feet, which we will do in a minute, you will really be able to heal from plantar fasciitis 3 times fast, right? And not get it, which is even preferable. Now we're going to go to the heel. So you're just going to press your heel down on there, kind of wiggle around. Now the heel, obviously, it's a bone under there called the calcaneus, and the skin around the heel is typically very thick. There's just a thick rope of muscle and skin around there because that's, where we really touch the earth, right? So it's already hardened up a lot from walking. So you won't get to probably won't even feel it quite as much, but you still want to really work that. And now after you've done that, how about just a big sweep all the way up and around off of there? Okay, just a nice big sweep. Now, before we continue, just drop and kind of stand. Isn't it amazing how much more you can feel? Like for me, it's like, oh my gosh, like almost feels like little pillows now. I so feel the difference from one foot to the other. Now, this is a good time before we do toes, just to do another roll down. Just notice if you feel any difference in that hamstring or in how much lower you can go. Because as you're working that, especially the fascia and loosening the fascia, it all works all the way up. Give me a thumbs up if you can feel that in your foot, if anybody's doing it, or how about this? How about just put yes? Just post a Y there if you're doing it with me and you felt any difference. All right, give me a big Y. Yes. All right, now, while I'm waiting for my Ys, now we're going to do toe fitness. Now, think about the toes, okay? Now, I'm just going to go on that one foot. Can you lift your toes? Now, look down at the toes. Can you drop the toes and lift each one by one? That's challenging, isn't it? And then drop them one by one. Most likely, that's a challenge. How high can you lift your toes? Can you lift your toes and jazz them? Isn't that Teresa? Jazz the toes. And we're like, yeah, jazz the toes. But have you ever actually jazzed your toes? Have you looked down and jazzed your toes? Well, most of us really didn't. We heard what she said. We got it. But we didn't. But you know what? We jazz our hands. Now watch this. If I say lift the toes and jazz them, not as much, but your hands will automatically want to do it. And as soon as you do it with the hands, oh, look, the toes jazz. Amazing. All right, so now we're going to work the toes, though. Now, again, this is challenging. You just take it to your own place. So I'm going to keep my ball joint down, and I'm going to stretch my big toe up. Can you see that? It's just my toe. I'm going to try and get my toe vertical as much as I can, pressing down, and my other toes are down. So now I'm going to put pressure on that foot, so I'm standing into it. And that toe is just stretching. Amazing. All right, then we're going to get off of there. Now, we're going to do the second, third, and fourth toe. Just those three, not the pinky and not the big. So you're going to try to stretch that there. I don't know if you can completely see that. I might go here. And feel free to use your hands. Like I might say, okay, big toe, pinky, go there. Push in a little bit more. And what are you doing? You're stretching those toes up. Now, you may not be able to get them up that high at first, especially if you have not been working your toes and you're just in shoes, maybe shoes that are holding you in like that, right? If you have bunions, do you know what happens with bunions? Here's the big toe ball joint. The toes go over, don't they? And when that happens, you can see what happens to all the bones, the rest of the bones in the feet. They all get out of whack. And now if they're out of whack, what happens? The ankles are out of whack. You get the picture. Okay. And now come off of that. Woo! And just notice how your toes feel. Now lift the toes. Spread them. See if you get a little bit more brain to body with that. Spread the hands. The hands automatically go. Isn't that weird? So interesting. All right. Now we're going to do one more thing with that foot. We're going to put the heel down. We're going to curl the toes. And I want you to really curl those toes in and feel like you're shortening the foot. Like if you wear a size 7, you're squinching up the whole foot into the heel, into the arch. So like now you're about a size 5 shoe. And then release and relax. Good. Let's just do it one more time. Scrunch it all up. Feel the heel. So you're really trying to pull the two together. Feel what happens all the way up the leg. And then release and come back down. Good. And now notice, I'm going to come up so you're not talking to a headless human. Might be better though, I don't know. All right. How do you feel? Notice how you feel between one to the other. How about if you do this? Isn't that cool? It's just so amazing. Now, here's something else you can do with that. And this was actually something that Teresa did do. I'm just going to go back. Now that you've done that, you can come up onto the tips. You can roll over onto your knuckles, the knuckles of the toes, and press the top of the foot. We're going to do top of foot press in a second. Just feel what that feels like. Now, notice, most of us tend to do this. Okay, we'll roll over. If you're putting most of the pressure on the last three toes, what happens to that ankle? It destabilizes, right? So you want to see if you can get it more to the center. Look what happens. When you get to the center, your ankle and your knee align. Looky cookies. If you go even to the big toe too much, the knee will go in. Okay, so you really want to be as much to the center as possible, and then come back onto the tips, and then come back, tucking the toes under like that, pressing the heel forward, and then drop. So it looks like this if you go fast. You're up, roll over, press, come back, tips, ball joints, and heels. Shake the foot out. Stand and notice. What does one feel like to the other foot? Good. We're going to do one more thing for the top of the foot, okay? So you're going to put your foot back on the heel on the ground, foot around. You will need to hold on to something with this. Now, if I'm going to roll my foot, say to the little toe side, then see if you can take the other foot around. And as that's going that way, gently, I'm going to take my top foot and try to move like the skin to the opposite, to the big toe side. All right, so in other words, the top of the foot, we're trying to just get some movement in there. Now I'm going to move my bottom foot over towards the big toe ball joint side. And with my foot, I'm going to try and pull the skin to the other side. Hopefully it's making sense. So you're going the opposite way with the top foot as you are with the bottom foot. Good, so I'm going to go both ways. And that works a bit on the top of the foot too. Now stop. Woo! Now, let's just take a quickie walk around the room. See what you feel. Oh my. It's just so amazing, isn't it? So you can see that after you start loosening up the foot, now, as you start to roll through your feet to go walking, you can get your feet don't hurt, your knees track, your ankles get strong, and it'll work all the way up into the glutes, right? So we can do the same thing. You guys want me to do the same thing on the other side? We'll just do the other side. I know this will get long, and people are like, oh, it's too long. Renee talks too much. She does, I know. All right, let's just go one more time, though. Hand here. I'll tell you what. I'm going to do it this time seated, because I want to show you you can do the same thing seated, right? Now, it's not quite as much because you're not putting as much pressure, right, for the whole weight down on your body, but it doesn't matter. We're still working the feet. So here we go. So I'm going to start across on the pad of the foot. Okay, pad of foot. You're going to go across. Now I'm going to roll to the plantar fascia right across the center. Ooh. Say hello to that foot, right? So just, you want to first kind of compress in the center and release. There's your sponge. We're going to get rid of the junk. We're going to allow oxygen and nutrients to get into all these little places in the foot that probably haven't had any press, and release. And now we're going to roll it one side to the other. And you don't have to be tough on yourself, right? This is not a punishment. This is like really giving love to your little paws here. Okay, so it may take a little bit of time for you to be able to do this without a lot of pain. You might hear a lot of cricking and cracking in there, right? Because if you haven't moved, remember, these are joints and bones. When you don't really work them, they kind of get a lot of tissue. They kind of lock up, right? So you're trying to really open up from all the metatarsals and all the good places. And now I'm just going to press down into my heel and roll around on the heel. It's just juicy, isn't it? So again, it's just so nice that you can do this. Even just put it, again, you're watching something on Zoom, you're rolling the foot. All right, now I'm just going to go right into my toes. I think I'll start with the scrunch right now and release and feel what that feels like with the scrunch and release before I do each toe. That's another interesting little exploration. All right, so now I'm going to step off of that for a second. And now we're going to do each toe. I'm trying to make sure that you can see it. This one's fascinating to me. And feel free to use your hands, okay? Because a lot of times, we don't have a lot of brain-body connection to all those toes. But you know what? The more you do this, the more that brain connection will get down there, and you'll be able to do it without using your hands, which is really fun because you can really tell. So my ball joint's down, and I'm just stretching that big toe out. Stretch that toe, and then release it. Then what do? We do the next 3 toes together. Big toe, pinky down. And now I'm just trying to get my other toes to stretch. Now here's the other thing that's interesting. Your 2 feet might not behave the same way on each one. My 2 feet do not behave. They don't. They're not the same. This foot does not belong to me. This foot belongs to me. It's just interesting how that is. And then once it's there, good, then come on out. I like to kind of tuck them back under a little bit and get a bit of stretch even on theirs. Again, there's no big, you want to do all of these different things, but if you do them in a different order, it's all good. You're just working the feet. All right, so now let's do the scrunch. The scrunch is so much fun. So scrunch. Ooh, and release the scrunch. Let's scrunch again. We're going to scrunch the toes over the ball. Feel the heel in. You're trying to make that foot even smaller. And release. Muscle activation. Let's go one more time. Scrunch. And release. Good. Now, how to work the top of the foot in a chair. Drop it back. Tuck it under. Same thing. Notice that if I go like this, how my ankle will go out. So I'm still wanting to keep it all straight. Maybe drop it right here so you're straight, pressing the top. And I'm going to do another little press of the top for you so you can see that one too. Press it forward. When you always do top of foot, you're not pressing down into the ground really, you're pressing forward, okay? And that will also work the top of the shin. And then come out. All right, now, once again, how do those little puppies feel? Move your toes all around. Now that you've just done that, can you just lift just the big toe? Oh, look, see, my fans will do it. Your hands are going to do it. It's so interesting. And then the next toe, can you lift just the next toe? I cannot lift the next toe. Let me see if I can connect here. Nope. And then the next toe, and the next toe, and the next toe. How about if you lift all your toes and jazz them? Now you're going to be connected to the lift toes jazz. Yes. Now, can you feel when you're jazzing those toes, what does it feel like? Drop them back down. Shake it out. Press the ball joints down first. Lift the toes jazz. And you can feel it all the way up, can't you? And then drop it all the way down. Now that we did that, let's do one more roll down. You ready? So roll down. Oh my goodness. So I had a really tight left hamstring. Here's the interesting thing. It was still tight after I first did that leg. I did that foot first. But after I did the second one, it's not tight anymore. That's just fascinating, isn't it? So that's why you got to do both sides. Even if you're like, no, that side's fine. It's all connected. It all works together. So again, notice. Now, one more thing that I do want to do for top of foot. This is a great one to do too. You're going to tuck back, tuck the toes under. Okay, now, when you're first starting, you can take it way back, okay? Make sure you notice, look back that your heel is not back, right? You want to be straight with that foot. And you can lean your upper body slightly forward. Again, you're pressing down, but gently. It's more of a press forward. And when you press forward, you're going to feel it here. If that's too intense for you, okay, take a folded blanket. Make it soft. Okay, make it work for you. And you can hinge forward, okay? But when you get a little bit stronger, you might want to try to keep the standing leg straight, tuck it back, same thing, And then I'm just going to bend this knee just a little bit, and then I'm going to straighten and press it forward. And then I'm going to do it to the other side. So back just a little bit, standing leg is straight, slight bend of this leg, and then I'm going to straighten it and press that toes like forward into it. And it's amazing. You're going to feel that all the way up, even into the hip. So you're getting oxygen and nutrients into places that you haven't gotten before. So give me a big, how about an R? Give me an R if you if you got a little something out of that. Was that good? Excellent. It does take. So Tesser says it seems to take a long time for the feet to stretch. Well, think about this. If you haven't stretched it much, they're tight and they're holding on. So patience, patience, patience. It's all, thanks, Emmy. Patience, patience. Okay. Whatever you do today is more than you did yesterday, and just start to play with it. Just do it as an exploration. You're playing, you're noticing what happens. And now notice how it changes your walk. See, that's a really huge thing. Again, that's why I like to show you that, how most people walk flat-footed. Notice. It's why I am a big proponent of barefoot shoes. So my walking shoes are basically like slippers. Okay, I don't have anything on the bottom. Now, we don't all can start there. Some of us have to have insteps. If you have therapeutic orthotics or whatever, that's fine. I'm not telling you not to use it. But it is neat. It's interesting when you have a foot with like barefoot shoes, because now you can really start to work the feet, make those feet muscles work. That way the fascia doesn't have to take up that space, and you'll really get strong. Here's another interesting little thing, and that is 45%, which is a huge number, of adult injuries, ankles. Why? Because we're not working the feet. If you're not using the rolling of the foot, if you're not using the muscles of your feet, what's the next joint that's going to take all that pressure? Your ankles. And then when the ankles get weak, and now you can't, right? The feet don't have anything. The ankles take it, it bends. What happens? It goes to the knees. So, right? So you can see why the foundation is so important. Thank you. All right. Even doing foot fitness twice a week is taking, yes, it is taking time, Tessa, but you know what? Do it while you're doing something else. Put that little ball there while you're watching TV. Start to just work when you're watching TV. We can multitask. We are women. We know how to do this, right? It's just that important. It's one more thing. I really feel like feet and calves are two essentials to my daily fitness routine, and I can move up to calves, and I might do it in the next one. It's that important, and you kind of already got the reasons why. Excellent. Who else? Anybody else? What do you do when your second toe wants to cross on the big toe? You know what? When your second toe wants to cross the big toe, you're going the other way. That's interesting. You just use your hands and put it back. Okay? Feel free, especially when you're up on the ball. Okay? Use your hands. Move them. Use your hands and move them. There is a little piece of, I don't even know what you want to call it. They're called yoga toes. This is really good for people who have bunions, right? And the bunion is when the big toe crosses over there, and you get that because the big toe ball joint is pressing. It's typically for short torso, long leg ladies. Not always, but that's very typical. They have long legs. Their knees tend to roll in, which puts pressure on the big toe ball joint, which makes the ball go over, the big toe go over. So yoga toes are a little piece of, I'll call it equipment, whatever you want to call it, that go in between your toes that you wear around the house for a certain amount of time. Why? Because it helps to bring those toes back into the correct alignment, right? And as you walk, you start to move them back into alignment. They're amazing, and they work really, really well. Oh, Tesser has yoga toes. You got it. Okay, exactly. It would do the same thing whether it's going this way or that way. Yoga toes work because we're working those toes. But if you don't have them, you saw what we did with the ball. Okay, stretch them up, stretch them up, stretch them up. It's just like the finger and feet, right? When you were doing that. So I hope that was helpful. And if you have anything else, any like potential, hey, Renee, do this or that, or I'd love to know about this, please, post it in that group so I know what it is that you'd like to learn more about. So I hope that was helpful. Do it. Come back. Please, let's keep this thread going. I'd love to know how that's working for you. All right, you guys. Blessings. Have a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.